What's up, everybody? I'm here with another mediocre review, and we have Stryfe. So, the first thing you need to know about him is you have to build telepathic charges. All right, so you can build these different ways, or two or three different ways that you can force. So, the first way is to fire a special one, and when you're cloaked, every time they miss, you'll actually gain telepathic charges. The second way is to actually fire off heavy attacks. So when you fire off heavy attacks, depending on how much power you have, it increases the chances of you actually getting telepathic charges. And then after that, if you fire off a special three, you'll actually save and store your telepathic charges, which I'll explain later on in the video. Now, another thing about these telepathic charges, depending on the amount that you have, you can actually glance critical hits. So this is convenient, if you got a couple of them and you slip up and miss a combo and then you get, or you might get clapped, the telepathic charges will actually water that down so you can preserve yourself in long fights. Now, an important thing to remember is that you can only hold up to 20. All right, don't forget that. Now, the reason why that's important is because if you have 20, you immediately want to get to a special 3 as fast as possible so you can turn those telepathic charges into actual persistence charges. All right, the persistent charges are what you're going to carry from fight to fight, and that's why you want to convert them. So as soon as you get 20, launch special 3, work your way up to a special 3, don't get hit, so you can save those telepathic charges. Strike's persistent charges give you various abilities. So one of them, one of my favorites actually, is the ability to place a concussion with the fourth light attack, and it lowers ability accuracy. I think by about like 20%, but it only costs you one telepathic charge. Now, the 20% is cool and all that, but the thing that I like the most about it is once opponent is concussed, Strife can block unblockable attacks. So it almost gives him like a little bit of the sinister effect when sacrificing a persistence charge. If you look here, the SP3 just converted 20 persistence charges into, excuse me, 20 telepathic charges into 25 persistence charges. So this is how you do it if you look at the screen. Strife's telepathic charges can nullify unstoppable buffs. So this is good for champs like a Juggernaut or even certain nodes where champions will go unstoppable and they can get pretty annoying. Another annoying champ that Strife is pretty decent against is Electro. So he doesn't take any damage back from Electro's discharge. All you have to do is heavy, since they're energy and non-contact damage attacks. Also, he doesn't take any thorns damage from Korg. So, one, if you take in Strife on the Mixmaster node, not only will Korg not evade because of Strife's telepathic abilities, but you won't take any thorns damage. Yet, Kabam has made another champ that was designed specifically to defeat Korg on Mixmaster. It's a pretty tight design. All right, so I just want to go through these real quick. I try to simplify these as much as I can because I hate going like super in depth when people just want to know, hey, can he hit hard and what are his uses? All right, so pretty much if you want to have a higher chance to roll over telepathic charges into persistent charges, you need to have your Strife awaken, and he needs to be at a high sig level. Um, just an example, so 42%, right? So if I end the fight with 10 telepathic charges, that means I'm only going to keep 4 of them. So if I end with 20, that means I'm only going to keep 8. Now, I want my SIG level maxed out so I can gain and keep the most amount of persistent charges. His side blasts, right? So his side blast occur on mediums, heavies, and special 2 attacks. All right, so these are all energy damage, and they're not physicals, and they cannot be evaded. Now, what does that mean? That means on Mixmaster, you can medium your whole life away, and those attacks cannot be heavy. So parry, medium, medium, parry, medium, medium, parry, medium, medium, all the way into a special 2. All right. Also, the side blast reduced the potency of incoming passive damage. All right.
of passive direct damage. So this pertains to thorns. All right, thorns against Korg, as you saw there. Now, this doesn't pertain to electrostatic discharge, but if you launch a heavy, then you won't take any of that damage back. So you can literally parry heavy electro all day, and you'll be fine. Now, his telepathic charges. Okay, you will get different abilities depending on how many you have. I'm gonna try to keep this short, sweet, and simple. In my experience with using Stryfe, you want to fire off a special one, and once he goes into that glance mode, when you fire the special one, every time they miss, you will gain a telepathic charge. All right. And then once you gain a certain amount, I would say anything over 10, I would launch a special 3 because it instantly adds about 5 more. That is the simplest way I can teach you or tell you to gain or keep your telepathic charges. All right. All this other stuff is just extra bonuses. And if you're a pretty decent fighter, you're not going to have to worry about sacrificing telepathic charges when you get hit to glance critical attacks because, I mean, you know how to parry, you know how to intercept or evade. Okay, now it is convenient, but it is what it is. Moving down, so we talked about it earlier, which is striking into an opponent's block when they're unstoppable. It will take away 2 telepathic charges, and it'll inflict a stun. So if you punch into a juggernaut that is unstoppable, right? Yeah, it will stun him and take his unstoppable away. Okay, or if you strike into an opponent's block, all right, it'll stun them. But you are going to lose 2 telepathic charges. Now, on the fourth light attack, you will sacrifice 1 telepathic charge to place a concussion on an opponent for about 20% ability accuracy. Cool, whatever, that's all good. What I like about it is whenever an opponent has a concussion on them, right? Whenever an opponent has a concussion, you can block unblockable attacks. So this is something that also that Sinister has. He can block unblockable attacks. So Korg Special 1 is unblockable. Captain Marvel, when she's in binary, her attacks are unblockable. What's his name? Hulkbuster, his Special 1 and 2, they're unblockable. So these are just examples of where that may come in handy. Now, heavy attacks will deal a burst of about 600 energy damage, plus 500 potency if invisible. Now, that doesn't mean anything to me because, I mean, it is what it is. But if you are invisible, you will gain 3 telepathic charges. So this is another way to build them. For every charge, the heavy attack actually gets stronger and stronger and stronger, okay? So that's just something to think about. Now, his damage over time, he does have a shock, which you can refresh over and over again. That's dope. And then his special 2 is a cannon. It is a cannon. I've taken his special 2 into incursions with a whole bunch of Furies, and it's just disgusting, okay? It's also based, strength scales off of the actual telepathic charges. So the more you have, the stronger they will be. And moving to special 3. So whenever you launch a special 3, you will get plus 5 telepathic charges, but they will be persistent. So they will go over into your persistent charges, all right? You can't get more than 100. And this is what makes him sort of, kind of like Aegon, all right? Once you fire it off, you'll take away all the telepathic charges, and they'll all become persistent telepathic charges. Yeah. Now, if the opponent is shocked, inflict a passive concussion for 30 seconds, reducing the opponent's ability accuracy by 30%. Remember what I told you. 30 seconds of being able to block unblockable attacks is super, 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 super convenient. Okay. There's plenty of people, plenty of nodes that you can use this on. Just think about like whenever you have to fight Doctor Strange and you have to block his special 2 and you know it's coming, but he's juking you, or things like that. I mean, this would even give you the ability to block some annoying or nodes with the Punisher whenever they're special 2 or rage nodes. So when they go unblockable and they got a Punisher, they got a War Machine sitting there, it just makes it that much easier. So these are things to think about. All right, so now let's get into his actual synergies. All right, so he has one with Ebony Ma, where once per fight after being struck by a basic attack, the opponent is afflicted with a passive falter for 3 seconds, give them 100% chance to miss. Whoop de doo. All right, that's not that serious. I mean, if you if you don't want to lose persistent charges, I mean, sure, but other than that, it really doesn't do anything. And then, I mean, if we look at what he even does for Ebony Ma while the opponent suffers from Black Tongue, they are inflicted with a 3-second falter debuff every 13 seconds. Additionally, while the opponent's falter gain 40% attack rating. I mean, this may be more effective, but I don't know many people who are bringing Ebony Ma anywhere in the game as an attacker. I mean, I just don't see it. So, I mean, it is what it is. Then we've got Thor and Hood, and then we got Guillotine, right? So start the fight with invisibly active. Cool. I mean, that's awesome, but I mean, it's really not game changing. Hood gets 50% attack rating while invisible. Okay. Guillotine souls last 30% longer. Okay, never really cared about that. And Thor activating special attack grants 3 Fury buffs, each granting 10% attack rating for 6 seconds. Now that, if you have a 6-star Duke Thor, I mean, now that may come in handy, when you're trying to crack stuff. But other than that, I mean, not that serious. Okay, so Cloned at Birth with Cable. Start the fight with 5 telepathic charges. Now this can be helpful because you can only hold 20, and this automatically knocks out 25% of those. So that's not that bad. I mean, I don't really see myself bringing Cable. I mean, unless we're talking questing here, I mean, cool. I'll take it, I guess. I mean, that helps. And then with Cable, while the opponent suffers from degeneration effect, special attacks grant 50% less power to the opponent. I mean, it's crafty, but game changing, not really. I mean, we're not talking about like the A-Bomb synergy with Red Guardian. All right, that's game changing for that champion. And then we've got the one, Big Bad Dad. Now, besides making Stryfe into a horseman, right, with Apocalypse, the final hit of Special 2 pauses all shock effects on the opponent for 4 seconds. Cool, dude. I mean, cool. But what we really want is when he is a horseman, become passively unblockable as long as 20 telepathic charges are active. So, if you can get 20 telepathic charges, you are now unblockable throughout the fight. So, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're building up Stryfe and you get you 100 persistent charges, and then you've got 20 within the fight. He's going to be suited up for mega damage. Like, you want to fire off back to back to back to back special 2s as much as possible. So, and that's not even including all the horseman buffs that he gets from becoming a horseman of Apocalypse. Like, for example, being bleed immune, or the 30% prowess, or going unstoppable. It just makes him that much better. So I would highly suggest, if you got the Stryfe, you need to bring the Apocalypse right along with it. All right, next, let's look at what he does for Apocalypse. Activating special 1 or 2, increase the potency of personal burst damage by 25%. This can stack up to 300% max. Okay, so for long fights, Apocalypse just gets stronger and stronger. That's pretty decent. That is some pretty decent damage. Everybody else is just whatever, right? So pretty much, is Stryfe a game-changing champion? In my opinion, he doesn't really have any immunities. And of course, just like everybody who's a metal champ, they're all victims to Magneto. Is he a necessity? I would say no. But is he a commodity? I would say yes. He is dope to have. And I would absolutely rather have one and not need one than need one and not have one. So I like Stryfe. I will slowly creep him up to 200 on the SIG ability. But overall, he's an exciting champ. And this has been my mediocre review on Stryfe.